Fight scenes can be clear, satisfying, but most importantly, they can tell a story.
Hi, my name is Ethan Van Wijk, and I want to talk to you about fight scenes.
My research question, after many revisions, is this. More concisely, I want to understand why a fight scene like this one from Arcane works so well to define characters and their relationships, and why something like this doesn't. The question is important to me for several reasons. Before switching to CXM, I was developing a project which was essentially one long animated fight scene. That process sparked my curiosity about what actually makes a fight scene effective, not just in terms of choreography, but also in terms of storytelling. I became fascinated with how these scenes are constructed and what they're meant to communicate. That fascination is what I want to bring to CXM. Composition is arguably the most important element of a fight scene. It frames what's important, guides the viewer's eye, and helps to shape the mood and emotion of a scene. As Ed Gertner writes in Layout and Composition for Animation, placement or position of a character in a scene depends on the direction a character is facing and if it's a single shot. This refers to how a character's position and orientation within a frame can influence how we feel about them, whether they seem dominant, vulnerable, isolated, or even powerful. So how does this relate to fight scenes? My goal is to define characters and their relationships through the fight itself. The Mad Dog vs. Jacka fight in The Raid is a great example of this. We see Mad Dog from Jacka's low-angle point of view. This not only makes Mad Dog appear more powerful, but also places us inside Jacka's head. Through shot choice and composition, the scene expresses both characters' emotional states without a single word of dialogue. In my own storyboard for CXM, I apply these same principles. For example, here, in this scene, I want the audience to feel Crow's desperation, but also his resolve. To do this, I framed the weapon and the arm of him around the edges of the shot to create a claustrophobic, tense feeling. But the eye is also drawn to the center of the frame, where you can see Crow's intense gaze. This conveys his will to fight. The composition itself is what's doing the storytelling here. One of my biggest inspirations comes from an animator called Italia, specifically their piece, Minute of Action. On the surface, it's two characters fighting off waves of enemies. But what stood out to me was the clarity between each shot. It's very easy to follow what's happening, even at high speed. Italia achieves this clarity through what I call flow. Basically, it's how well one shot leads into the next. In this shot, a character turns to the left, and the reverse shot immediately follows them from the front. By keeping the focal point consistent between shots, Italia makes it effortless for the viewer to understand what's happening, as they don't have to look around to find the next action. I apply this principle to my own fight scene by carefully planning out the focal point of each shot during high action moments. This allows me to add emphasis to when the focal point is changed, and I can add interesting or emotional elements at those moments. Throughout this semester, I've employed several methodologies. Contextualization, pre-visualization, and practice-based research were but three of them. The one I've relied most on is tacit knowledge, my own experimental learning. Outside of animation, I'm a hobbyist photographer. A huge part of photography is composition and framing. The rule of thirds, leading lines, depth of field, and negative spacer are also some very common photographic principles. They have directly informed how I approach fight scenes and composition within the fight scene. I'm using my knowledge of photography as a way to create emotionally driven compositions. To summarize, Ed Gertner's layout and composition for animation showed me how crucial character placement and directional cues are very useful for shaping audience perception. Italia's Minute of Action taught me how to maintain clarity through use of consistent focal points and intentional flow between shots. My own tacit knowledge from photography and film gave me the tools to approach composition in a way that allowed me to integrate storytelling into every frame. By combining these, I have developed a method that not only supports my Capstone project, but also strengthens my ability to use fight scenes as a storytelling device. Thank you.